yes, making money for yourself is fantastic if you have the right mindset, but you also need to make money doing something that you enjoy, something that helps other people. Hello, and welcome aboard another episode of the Captain's Lifestyle Podcast. This is your captain speaking, Taylor Morgan. Today's episode is another repurposed interview. I had the pleasure of being interviewed by Nate Garrison on his podcast, The Extraordinary Podcast. In this episode, we dive into my entrepreneurial journey, the 6 pillars of optimized human performance that I teach in the Captain's Lifestyle program, as well as where I see the future of business going, and much, much more. This was a super fun interview, and because I got so much great feedback on the last repurposed interview that I uploaded, I decided to bring it back with today's interview that Nate and I had. So if you guys are enjoying these repurposed interviews, or you have any feedback, positive or constructive, I always love hearing your guys' feedback on my show. Please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at 6captainmorgan9, or my business account at The Captain's Lifestyle, or send me an email, taylor@thecaptainslifestyle.com, along with any future podcast topics or suggested guests that you would like for me to feature on the show. All right, with all that said, let's dive into my interview with Nate Garrison on the Extraordinary Podcast. Enjoy.
This is the Extraordinary Podcast, and my guest today is Taylor Morgan. How's it going, man?
Hello, thank you for having me on again.
So we are completely transparent and honest with this show, and so we fail our way forward quite often is the case. And Taylor said this is this is our part 2 of our interview. We had an amazing conversation a month or so ago, and long story short, I lost those recordings through a series of errors and misjudgments on my part. So didn't even get to edit anything. So we're gonna kind of just take a part 2 and go completely from scratch and hit the ground running, man. So tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so like I said, my name is Taylor Morgan. Just turned 26 years old. Well, by the time this podcast is released, it will have been a while. But I joined the Marine Corps out of high school, served 4 years in the Marine Corps as a machine gunner. After the Marine Corps, I was a CrossFit coach, did that for about 5 years. Ended up getting recruited to be the head coach of the biggest CrossFit gym in Saudi Arabia. Worked there it was supposed to be a 2-year contract, ended up only being there for 6 months because I was not happy, and we can get into that whole story. And so that led me to what I do today, which is I'm a holistic lifestyle specialist and high performance coach for entrepreneurs, and specifically founders of charitable companies or brands, people who give back to society or the environment in some way, shape, or form. I help them basically optimize their work-life balance so they can fulfill their entrepreneurial vision just by maximizing their health, happiness, and productivity. So that is what I do currently with my business, The Captain's Lifestyle.
Awesome. Yeah. And that's been a little bit of a shift. We were talking before we started recording. You originally, this program was geared towards all entrepreneurs, but as you've developed and evolved the process, you've realized that you have a niche market in this philanthropic field, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. I started out just with kind of the broad term entrepreneurs, just because they were the ones that need this holistic lifestyle the most, I feel like, because a lot of people get into entrepreneurship chasing the money and the lifestyle, the time and financial freedom that is often associated with entrepreneurship. But more often than not, they end up getting the exact opposite of that. They end up working too much, being too stressed out, and then basically getting the opposite of that time and financial freedom. They might make a lot of money, but if they're not happy and fulfilled with how they're spending that time or their health, they're not enjoying it, then what's the point of, working so much? So that's what I wanted to change in the entrepreneurship world, to kind of break that mold. And even at the beginning, I would always turn down anybody who wanted to work with me for selfish reasons. Anybody who just wanted to make more money, just to benefit themselves and not give back in any way, I would always turn them down. But what I was finding is that the clients that I enjoyed working with most, that didn't feel like work at all, I could do it all day, were the founders of charitable brands who were, like I said, giving back to the environment, especially, is what I'm super passionate about. Um, and yeah, so I just decided to double down in that niche. And yeah, so that's what I'm working on currently, a slight rebrand. I mean, it's all basically the same content, but just a little bit of a marketing switch.
Right, more streamlined and geared towards that specific audience.
Yeah, and I actually took my podcast in that direction too. So I also have a podcast, the Captain's Lifestyle Podcast, where I interview founders of charitable companies to help them spread their impact, and also subject matter experts in the realm of lifestyle optimization. So anything that can help take these entrepreneurs from average to excellent. So anything from, sleep, mindset, productivity, nutrition, all that type of stuff.
Well, and I found it really interesting that that was the natural shift or evolution of your business, of your coaching model, because what I've tended to notice is that those that are really driven for that entrepreneurial, whatever that is, creating that business, I don't know that you can, or even that you want to have that kind of a lifestyle balance in order to be successful as an entrepreneur. But what I do notice is the ones that do have a charitable cause, or a bigger reach, or a bigger vision, or something like that, they do tend to seek that lifestyle balance, seek that lifestyle, like what we call it on this show, that lifestyle by design.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. And another reason why I wanted to switch towards charitable company founders is because I believe that that is where the future of all business is heading. I believe that, I don't have a specific timeline, but I just interviewed the founder of Plant Switch, which is like biodegradable silverware. So like cutlery and straws made out of like, it's like agave syrup that he molds into like this plastic like, but it breaks down. And he was saying that it's like within 10 years, the amount of plastic will be reduced by like 40%, or I forget the exact statistic, but consumers are starting to become aware of their buying decisions. They're starting to become aware that, voting politically doesn't really do much. Like, yes, it's good to vote. You should vote for who you believe in. But if you really want to make an impact and you really want to make a difference today, the decisions are made by money. So
vote with your wallet.
Yeah, vote with your dollars. Exactly. And consumers are starting to become aware that their buying choices impact the environment. So people don't necessarily care about spending a little bit more money for a company who is a certified B Corp, who is part of 1% for the planet, who uses only recyclable packaging, things like that. So I think all businesses will start to go that direction. And the sooner that you catch on, I think the more successful you're going to be. Because the only reason why more businesses aren't adopting it currently is because it's slightly more expensive to make that transition.
Right.
But in the long run, it'll pay off because there's no impact to the environment. So we talked about this in the podcast I had with the co-founder of Plant Switch, is the immediate startup cost is a little bit higher, but the long-term cost is significantly less because of the impact on the environment, because, people care about their impact.
Well, and not only that, it's a long-term payoff. That initial
Exactly.
investment, there's a long-term payoff, I think, there that makes it worth it if you can have that long-term vision. It's like so much else with life. It's like when you understand that long-term vision, when you can see that where you want to be 10 years down the road, then it makes those initial sacrifices not only necessary but doable, and you're motivated to want to do them because you see what that possibility is.
Yeah, that's why I love working with charitable company founders, is because they have that long-term vision. Like, it's bigger than themselves. Like, they want to succeed in business for the good of the environment and the future of the planet. Like, that's their ultimate goal. Like, yes, it's good to make money for yourself and live the lifestyle that you want, but you can have both. You can live that lifestyle and also help other people live that lifestyle.
So I'm curious, what you've been about around both entrepreneurs and these more philanthropic based uh, type people, but they're all tend to be kind of that type A personality. They're all very driven. They're all motivated to be successful. What's the one area that you find in common where they're the most lacking? Where do you find that is the most common weak spot for folks in this realm?
I actually just finished up doing some more market research for this slight little rebrand. And by far, the thing that comes up the most is time management. So
Huh.
anything
Interesting.
within that realm of time management, productivity, balancing, work and life, that is by far the biggest thing, because just like regular entrepreneurs, they're spending so much time on their business, not only because they want it to succeed for themselves, but also because the whole point of that business succeeding is for the good of the environment, the society, whatever. And so they're spending so much time on that they're neglecting their own personal health and happiness, and that's what I want to eradicate. um, and that's, a lot of them might not necessarily see it, but that is the reason why they're not succeeding in business. Because in order to have a successful business, you as the CEO have to be operating at your maximal potential. Because if you're not, then there's no possible way that your business can thrive. So that's what I work with my clients on, is basically 300xing their time management. And I say 300xing because I give my clients surveys. So an initial assessment before they start the program, and then an ending assessment after. And then we compare the data. And so far, out of all the data that I've collected, the average change in time management that they've rated themselves is a 300% increase. So
Wow. I was good. You kind of stole my fire there. I was going to ask, what's the first thing that you do to when a client comes to you? But obviously, it's probably these surveys, right? Is that the initial kind of assessment that you do to kind of understand how to best serve these people?
yeah, well, anybody can take the survey. So listeners right now, if you want to, and there's a score that goes along with it. So if you want to understand kind of where you sit in the holistic lifestyle realm, anybody can go take that. You don't have to be an entrepreneur.
Where can we
Um,
find that?
right now it's on my website, the captainslifestyle.com. Just click the button that says take the initial assessment, or on Instagram, it's the link in my bio. It should be like the first or the second link there. Yeah, and my Instagram is the captain's lifestyle as well. Um, but I forget where we were going with
Oh,
that.
I was asking what's kind of like your initial,
Oh,
obviously
yeah,
you
yeah.
do an assessment then. So what's that first thing that you kind of gear them towards, or how do you initially start? What's your first steps, if you will?
Yeah, so like I was saying, anybody can take that. That's not necessarily part of the program. Um, Anybody can go take that. But after that, like once they sign up for the program, then the first thing we do is set them up with a weekly tracker. So what gets tracked gets improved. So many people are just completely oblivious to how they're spending their time. Like you might think you're being productive and using your time to the best of your ability, but until you actually track your time, then you have no idea. Like screen time is the popular example that everybody mentions. Like if you don't think that you spend a lot of time on your phone, check your screen time and see where you're actually spending your time. Same thing with like a budget, for example. If you don't think you're overspending, okay, go check where your money's actually going. That same type of thing. So we set them up with a weekly tracker. They track their time, and usually they see a lot of impact just from that. I don't teach them anything really in the first week. I just say, hey, go track your time. And they're like,
Just
holy
that
shit.
visibility.
Exactly. Like they just had to see it. And often that's enough to make the switch. So that's the very first step. And then after that, the whole first month, we're going over um, mindsets, vision, creating their mission statement, their core values, and then optimizing their brain health. So the first month is everything from the neck up, everything involving the brain and the mindset.
That's interesting because so much of what you do is also like performance based and physical and like the CrossFit and the nutrition and all that. So that's very interesting to me that the first 30 days is nothing but the headspace. That's
Well,
fascinating.
that's actually how I came up with I have like a hierarchy system. There's the 6 pillars of optimized human performance, which we can get into, but how I came to that was I mentioned in the intro that I was a CrossFit coach for 5 years. And so I thought, especially back in my Marine Corps days, like I struggled with sleep. I was stressed out. I was not eating properly. I was eating as healthy as I could, or as healthy as, I knew at the time with what was
Right.
available at the chow hall is what they call it. Not great options there, but I was doing
Obviously.
what I thought was okay at the time, but what I know now, it was not good. Stress was through the roof. Sleep was crap. I was drinking every weekend. Um, but fitness was the one thing that I had down. Like I would work out once a day, most times twice a day. And that was actually, I know now, contributing to a lot of the stress and the sleep issues because I didn't have the base of sleep, especially in
The
place.
recovery.
Exactly. And so when I was a CrossFit coach, a lot of my high performing athletes, and when I say athlete, anybody can be an athlete. Anybody who, trains, they can be considered an athlete. And what I mean by high achievers are the people who care about their performance. They want to improve in every aspect of their life. And this is actually how I came into to want to coach entrepreneurs, is because I would find that a lot of the high achievers were entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
Um, and so they would come to me and ask why they weren't improving. I've been coming to the gym for so long. Why am I not seeing the results? Maybe they plateaued, whatever. And I would always ask, like, how is your stress? How are you sleeping? What's your diet like? Their answers would always be the same. Like, I'm lucky if I get 6 hours of sleep. Stress has been through the roof from work, relationships, whatever. My diet is pretty good. And anybody who says their diet is pretty good,
I think that's
it's
crap.
yeah, it's not good.
Right.
So I was like, well, there's your answer. Like you can't expect to train 1 hour of the day and have that offset the other 23 hours of a crappy lifestyle. That's just not how it works. And so that's kind of what led me down to create my own program is, okay, if I really want to make impact in these people's lives, it's not fitness. Fitness and exercise is the fifth pillar of my program. It's almost the last thing that I teach. So I guess now I'll go into the six pillars, which are mindset and vision. So that whole first month is spent on mindset and vision. And then sleep, which I mentioned is crucial. Once you optimize the quality of your sleep, literally everything else in your life improves. Then after sleep, we go into communication and relationships. So personal and professional relationships, and then nutrition, then exercise, then biohacks and supplements, all that other little bells and whistles. So
No, that's beautiful. That's such a great order. Because with me doing my 8 keys to great, that was a big aspect for me, is understanding the method, understanding the process, what's the best, what's the optimal way to do all this. And for so many of us, we naturally default to, okay, well, we'll just go exercise because I guess that's the easy one. I guess that's the one that we think is a quick fix or an easy solution. Or like you said, those biohacks or those little cheap hacks, they think that those shortcuts, if you
it's the
will.
sexy stuff.
Yeah, but in reality, it's like you got to lay all that groundwork first. Then you get put that stuff on there, and then that's when you'll see the benefit of those things.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you don't. Like I'm a big Tim Ferriss fan, and he has a lot of those biohacks. He's got the 4 hour body and all that stuff, and I jumped into a lot of that stuff because his 4 hour work week just was revolutionary and changed my life. And I just loved it. But what I found was some of those biohacks did not hold up. They didn't work out for me like they did from him, because I was coming from a different fitness background than where he was. So
Mhm.
my experience with everything that he did was completely different than what his was.
Yeah. And that's why my program is one-on-one, because everybody has a different experience. Everybody is so individual. And that's why I don't believe in diets or meal plans or anything like that. Because how can you have a one size fits all meal plan? Like there's no way. So I work with my clients on, specifically what works for them. And, you know, all these biohacks and supplements and exercise routines, they can all be fantastic. But if you don't have the base of like knowing who you are, like what your goals are, who you want to be, like,
Yeah,
and
where you're
sleep
trying to
too,
go,
like,
like what are your goals? Like a lot
exactly.
of those biohacks are specifically dependent upon where it is you're trying to get to. What
Yeah.
are the end goals? And without those, it doesn't even, it's pointless.
Yeah. One of the most popular ones is, people who want to start going to the gym, they automatically default to bodybuilding. just because that was the huge craze that started back in the 80s. It was bodybuilding. If you wanted to be healthy, to get in shape, it was bodybuilding. You go
Well,
do.
and you look pretty when you're a bodybuilder. It's the
Yeah,
pretty
it's
stuff.
it's it's the aesthetic side of it. But now we know that you don't have to do, like, if you just want to look good naked, you don't have to do bodybuilding. Like, there's other ways to get that. And certainly if you want to be healthy, bodybuilding is not your answer.
Mm.
But that's just what everybody defaults to, because that's what they see. But they haven't defined their goals. So they just see, whoever on Instagram, they say, oh, I want to look like that. But why do you specifically want to look like that? Like, people who want to lose weight. Okay, everybody in the world wants to lose fat, look good naked. Got it. Why do you specifically want to lose weight? And then ask that question a few times. Why? Well, because I want to be confident in my body again. Okay, why do you want to be confident in your body again? Because my wife doesn't look at me the way she used to, and that makes me feel like shit. And okay, well, now we're getting somewhere. Now that's why you want to lose weight. And now that you have that goal, you'll be significantly more likely to actually stick to it and find a program that works for you, as opposed to just, going off of what you see on Instagram.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the aspects of the sport of triathlon that was always so appealing to me, was that, like, you had to put in all this work to get to, you had this end goal that you were trying to get to. That Ironman, it's such a huge thing. Or like running a marathon is the other one that I talk about frequently on this show. It's like having that big, scary, hairy goal out there, then that gives you something to shoot for. Then that makes all those things worth it. And then, like, you understand why you're showing up every day. You have that why. And for me, like so many people, if it's just narcissism, if it's just about that look, then for me, if for whatever reason, that why doesn't hold up. That's not good enough for me. I won't show up if it's just for me to look pretty. Like, I need that bigger goal. I need that bigger challenge to overcome. And that's, so like for me, exercise always was pretty, like with you, that was always something I felt very comfortable with. But the nutrition, that was an aha moment for me, because when I was training for triathlon, it's like you understood for the first time that nutrition was fuel. Like, you had to have fuel for the tank to make it through the next ride. You had to have enough calories, because you finally felt like what it was like to bottom out. You felt like what it was like to crater and to not have those calories that you need. And like, once that mind shift happened, it was like, okay, now it all makes sense. Now all those sacrifices, now I didn't crave sweets and a lot of the things that I would normally, that junk food that I would normally want. A lot of those cravings kind of went away because of that, just that mindset.
Yeah, it's a whole new world once you figure out that whatever it is that you've been doing for this whole time is not optimal. Um, so, like, for example, exercise. Yes, exercise is fantastic for getting the body you want, but it's also fantastic for brain health and performance. And so that's what I teach in my program. My clients are high performers. They want to look good, but they also want to perform to the best of their ability. And exercise, actually not exercise, but just living an active lifestyle is a huge part of that. So going to the gym was only created once we started living sedentary lifestyles. Going to the gym was not a thing 200 years ago. Like, people
Right.
didn't go to the gym to work out. Like, they were out moving all day long. So
It's called plowing the field.
yeah, there weren't
Chopping
many
down the
people.
tree, you know?
Exactly. Like, we were living active lifestyles.
Yeah.
So only in the past few hundred years did working out become a necessity to stay healthy. So I don't necessarily, if you want to be healthy, you absolutely do not have to exercise. You just don't. And that
It's
might be
all
like
about that lifestyle.
yeah, wake up call to somebody. Yeah, if you want to look a specific way, there might be, depending on what that looks like, you might have to exercise. But if you just want to be healthy and live a long time, you do not have to work out. You just have to live an active lifestyle. Your default state
Precisely.
should be movement, not, sitting on the couch.
Just avoiding that sedentary lifestyle altogether. I mean, we were meant to move. I mean, that's the biggest thing what it all comes down to.
Yeah. Like me, for example, right now I'm recording this podcast at my standing desk. And just to clarify, standing all day is not necessarily good either. So standing all day, sitting all day, both of those are not good. constantly moving around. So after this, I'm going to go move around. I'm going to go work out right after this. Um, Constantly moving, squatting down, always moving. I have a pull-up bar that I can hang up here. Just moving constantly throughout your day.
Well, and my big thing lately, as I've gotten older, and some of these injuries have resurfaced and gotten aggravating and that sort of thing. It's all about range of motion and mobility. And like now, the yoga and a lot of the work that I do is just to increase flexibility, to increase range of motion, to be able to maintain as active a lifestyle as I possibly can for as long as I can.
100%.
Because
Yeah, that's,
when you
I
get
was going to
old like
say,
me, it gets harder.
it can if you don't use it. If you don't use it, you lose it. People think that getting older automatically means that your body starts to deteriorate. Yes, in a sense that your body produces less testosterone, you're not going to be able to build as much muscle, but that doesn't mean that you have to feel like crap and have all these random aches and pains. My dad, for example, is a perfect role model for this. Well, maybe not perfect, he's still got some ways to go, but he didn't used to live the lifestyle that he did now. He's 66 now, I believe, and he says that he feels better now than he did 10 years ago, just because his lifestyle has completely shifted. He's a general manager at a country club, and so it's a high stress job, a lot of being sedentary in meetings. Not that he was ever super overweight, but he was super stressed out, having to rely on coffee to get him through the day. And now that he's started to adopt, CrossFit, for example, he goes to CrossFit, he's eating significantly better. He's moving, his stress has dropped significantly. He feels better. Like he doesn't have all these random aches and pains. And actually, about 5 years ago, he said that he was going to retire from baseball because he used to be a professional baseball player and he continued to play his whole life. And he wanted to retire because he wasn't having fun anymore because of all these injuries. And now that since those 5 years, he started to get even more heavy into the diet, the sleep, especially all that stuff. And now he feels great. And so he started playing baseball again. So it's not, you get older, you feel bad. If you take care of your body, there's no reason why you have all these aches and pains. If you have aches and pains, it's because something is wrong. So if you're not taking care of your body, that's when the aging sets in. But it's not because you're getting older, it's because you're not taking care of your body properly.
Yeah, it's all about that lifestyle. I mean, it's amazing how just proper diet and exercise will eliminate so many medications out of your lifestyle if you
And
just
sleep.
take care of some of that, and sleep too. Yeah, obviously that's the big one as well. And what it really hit home for me was when I was getting married, my parents were there, obviously, and my wife's parents were there, and they were both within a year or two of each other's. They were all within the same age. They were all born at the same time, and when we were standing there taking our pictures and everything, her parents had lived a very sedentary lifestyle, living on little Debbie's and processed foods and all this kind of garbage. And my parents were these kind of health nuts that had always been very active and triathletes, all that kind of stuff. And when we took that picture, and they're all in their late 60s, early 70s, her parents could have been mistaken for my parents' parents. Like there was literally a whole entire generation of that look different because of how I'm butchering this, but it was just amazing to me to see how much difference 20 years of this kind of lifestyle makes. Like they
Yeah.
look like completely different people.
Yeah, you want to talk about anti-aging, it's a super popular supplement brand, all these creams and serums, whatever. If you really want to anti-age or reverse age, take care of your body with the basics, the sleep, the nutrition, the active lifestyle, and quality relationships is actually the thing that is most highly correlated to a long, happy, and fulfilling life. So do those basics. Once you have all the the basics that people skip by, they're like, yeah, sleep, nutrition, whatever. No, seriously, like sleep, optimize it, get the quality sleep, dial in your nutrition specific to you, not what you see your friends eating, but like specifically to you. And then only then can all these little creams and hacks do their full effect.
Yeah, then they can almost be worth it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and full disclosure, both of us, this has been an evolution. Neither one of us, well, you've always been very fit, but like for me, this is something I've constantly been improving on and learning this whole lifestyle design stuff. So you've always been a fit guy, but when you were in the military in those early days, it wasn't exactly a healthy lifestyle, right? Tell me a little
No
bit
way.
about that.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, when I was in the Marine Corps, exercise was the one thing that I did have dialed in. But yeah, sleep was horrible. I used to have to get sleeping pills, not prescribed, but the sleeping pills that you just get over the counter, which I now know do not help you sleep. They knock you out, so you're unconscious, but you're not getting good quality sleep. And it's like, yes, you are asleep, but it's not the quality of the sleep. So you still wake up feeling tired.
It's not that
Um,
Delta sleep.
yeah, and so yeah, sleep was bad just because crazy wake up times. There is no set circadian rhythm, which is your body's internal clock. So for example, wake up at 5 a.m., go to sleep at 9 p.m. It was all over the place. Sometimes we'd have to wake up to go on a hike at 3 a.m. and then sometimes we'd be out a lot of times we'd be out late at night till 10 midnight, have to get woken up in the middle of the night to do what's called fire watch. And so there's no sleep schedule. So sleep is fucked. And then the stress is through the roof, not only because the sleep is not good, because if you don't have good quality sleep, that automatically increases your stress level.
All your
Also,
cortisol levels go up.
yep. But also, I'm in a extremely high stress situation, being a machine gunner,
Yeah.
especially being the new guy, getting yelled at all the time, all that type of stuff. So stress was through the roof. And then eating, I was doing the best I could at the time, but now looking back, I was not giving my body the proper nutrients that it needed. And then on top of that, I was working out twice a day, and that would also contribute to the stress and the tiredness, just because if your body doesn't have time to rest, if you work out too hard, you're breaking your body down, not building it up. So it's a
I mean,
combination.
because that's what working out really is it's a breakdown of the muscles, and then that rest time is when they build back up stronger and meatier and healthier or whatever. So yeah, if you're not
Yeah,
getting a chance to recover, then you're killing yourself.
I'm actually going to make a TikTok about this, where most people think the gains are made, in the gym, where trainers think the gains are made in the kitchen, your diet, uh, where and then where biohackers think the gains are made with all these hacks like saunas and red light and whatever. And then where the gains are actually made is when you sleep.
In
That's when
bed.
your body actually builds the muscle. It's not when you're working out or whatever. All those other things are important, yes, but sleep is by far the most important. Yo, Taylor here. So I'm sure you've heard me harp on sleep and basically every single podcast and video that I put out, because it truly is that important. And I'm excited to announce that I've created something very simple and very tactical that you guys can use to start improving your sleep immediately. In fact, it is the fastest way to improve the quality of your sleep and therefore the quality of your life, with amazing results after just one single night of implementation. Seriously, this is the same nightly ritual that I personally use, and it's the same strategy that I teach all of my high-performing clients in the Captain's Lifestyle program. It's the 4-3-2-1-30 method, and I'm giving it away to you guys for free. All you have to do is follow the link in my Instagram bio or in the show notes of this podcast, and I'll send it over so you can start sleeping better tonight. But please do not sleep on this offer. It's literally free, so no excuses. Go do it, and sweet dreams.
Well, and you had an interesting time when you were at the military going through all that. You went through sniper uh
Yep.
sniper screener
Yeah,
school or
the
sniper
sniper
screening.
screener. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
tell us about that.
yeah, I was not satisfied with my machine gunner job just because the stress was so high. There were some leadership issues, so I wanted to get out of that, and I wanted to, because I'm a Type A personality. I joined the Marine Corps specifically, and being a machine gunner, because I thought they were the best of the best, right? Um, Come to find out that almost anybody can do that. Yes, there's specific qualifications, but for me personally, I was flabbergasted to see the type of people who can make it through. And so I was not
Yeah,
satisfied with that. I wanted to be, a step above. And
elite.
so, yeah, exactly. And so snipers could offer me that. And so I signed up for the sniper screener with a couple buddies, basically a week long of hell and
Yeah.
torture. Uh,
Talk about unhealthy lifestyle.
Yo, man, this is horrible. I was already sleeping like crap, and now in the sniper screener, you're sleeping no more than 4 hours a night for 5 days straight. You're eating minimal food, so talk about breaking down your body. Like you're moving all day, constantly moving, pushing your body to the limit, and then on top of that, you're not getting enough nutrients. You're not sleeping enough, so it's literally like the worst possible breakdown of your body for those 5 days. Massive amounts of stress and mental games too, like going through situations, and because they're basically weeding out to see who can hack it in the sniper platoon, which is an intense job. So long story short, we started with like, I don't know, 75, 50 people, maybe. I can't remember exactly. Um, at the end of the 5th day, there were only, I believe, 7 of us who made it to the end. I was one of those 7, but I did not get selected. I was the only person who made it to the end who did not make it into the sniper platoon. And that crushed me. That was, I classify that as by far my biggest quote unquote failure, although it's not really a failure because I learned from it. So they told me that I didn't make it into the platoon because some team members said that I did not work well with others, which I didn't agree with at the time. But now looking back, I see where they were coming from. I was too focused on myself getting through. I was too focused on myself, getting the quality sleep, just me getting through it as opposed to helping other people get through it. So that was a wake up call, and especially in the military. Like you cannot succeed on your own. Like you have to work as a team. You have to work well. And so if they thought that I didn't work well, yeah, they absolutely should not have let me in because that's life or death. Um, so I learned from that. I learned that I cannot be selfish. I have to help other people around me thrive. It's not about Taylor. It's not about me. It's about helping other people thrive. And that's what I love about what I do now. I'm helping other people thrive, and by doing that, that helps me thrive. I I've never been more fulfilled doing what I do now because I'm helping others and I'm also helping myself. It's amazing.
Well, it's interesting how helping others helps us. Like it when you have that fundamental shift in mindset. And I always talk about this like in relationships. Like you see all these people that like want to, oh, I want to be married, I want to have kids, I want to have this, I want to have that, or whatever. And they can never have this long-term relationship. But it's always because they're focused inward. They're focused on like what does that significant other need to provide to me? What are all the boxes that they need to check in order to for them to be good enough for me, essentially? But once you have that shift in mindset of it's about them and how do I make myself be the most presentable? How am I making myself the most attractive, whatever, to them, but for their benefit? Okay, well then that attracts other people. That brings what you're looking for to you.
Yeah, and I agree with that with an asterisk. I say that you can only help other people to the best of your ability once you have already helped yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So what you're talking about is deriving, satisfaction from external sources. Like what can they bring to the table for me? That's deriving your own personal self-worth from like external sources, whatever. You have to do your own work for yourself. You have to fill your own cup first before it can pour over into anybody else's. So, and you do that by, I already mentioned the 6 pillars of the optimized human performance. You have to know who you are, what your goals are. Once you understand all of that, you have to start working towards those goals by optimizing your sleep, understanding how to communicate, fueling your body with proper nutrition, moving, living an active lifestyle, and then, all the little hacks that you want. But until you are satisfied and happy, fulfilled with yourself, nobody else is going to be attracted to you. People are attracted to people who are content with who they are as a human being. Nobody wants to be in a relationship with somebody who's not happy with themselves. That nobody wants that. So
I like to
optimize
say,
yourself first.
yeah, it's to know yourself, to truly know
Yeah.
yourself and do some of that self introspection.
Yep.
Sure. So was that moment at sniper school kind of like your aha moment as to opening up into all of this kind of mindset, this mentality, this kind of way of living? Or was there something else along the way that kind of shifted you into this from a, like they were saying, kind of that selfish kind of, you had your own agenda, to now where you are now, where it's this coaching and helping others?
Yeah, well, that was a part of it for sure. But no, it was still a downhill road from there. It took me a while to learn from that. It was not instantaneous.
So did you go
I,
back to machine gunners
yep,
duty from there?
yep. And I was pissed off about that for a while, and just because I don't have the mindset that I do now.
Right.
So I continued going downhill from there, and I hit rock bottom when I I would so in the Marine Corps, you basically drink every weekend, and you drink to drink. It's not
Right.
like you just have a few beers and hang out. No, like you drink to get fucked up. And one night I was out at a party with my CrossFit friends and got a little too intoxicated. I was actually the first time that I had ever been what's called crossfaded. I've never done weed before, and then so I was drunk, and then I took a hit from my friend's weed pen, and so it was this combination. I was like, holy shit! Like I thought I was living in a dream at that point. So I mean, this story could go on for a long time, but to make it short, I at like two in
Well,
the
it is a good
morning.
story. So
It it is, yeah. So I'll try to condense it. Uh, but yeah, 2 in the morning, I snuck past my friends who were trying to keep me there because I wanted to drive home. I would frequently drive back to base drunk, which to this day, my friends and I both have no idea how I did this because some nights I would come to
so
the parking
dangerous.
lot, and when you're going back to base on a military base, you have to pass the gate guards and you have to show them your ID, and they have to let you go by. And so if you're clearly intoxicated, they're not going to let you by. But one night in particular, I got past them, pulled into the parking lot completely fine, passed out in my car. My friends had to wake me up, and I have no idea how I got past the gate guards because I don't remember that night at all. But so whatever, that's not part of this story. Um, so yeah, at the party, I was trying to drive home intoxicated. My friends wouldn't let me. Thank goodness, they were good friends. But I was still in this mindset, like, fuck you, it's only about me. So I snuck past them. It's about 2 in the morning. Walking back to my car, randomly the idea pops into my head that I want to climb houses. So that's what I did. I climbed up onto these beach houses. Um, and I came to this one house where the window was open. Uh, open the window, and just to preface this, I'm thinking that I'm in a dream. I didn't think any of this was real. Um, and then I went into the window. Uh, it was the bathroom window. Kind of was wandering through their house. Came to this room. There's a girl sleeping in there. Uh, it was dark, so I don't know her age. She was late teenager. We'll say that. And I was standing there just watching her sleep. I was like, what the fuck do I do? Like, I don't know. Oh, and before this, I had to sneak past their dog, who thankfully didn't bark, was sitting at the top of the stairs looking at me. I just closed the door and left it at that. So horrible guard dog. But
Right.
yeah, so so I'm in this girl's room, and then all of a sudden she wakes up because she probably felt my presence. And she's like, who are you? And I was like, oh, I'm Taylor. We met at a party. She's like, when? I was like, tonight. She's like, nope, didn't go to a party. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just head out then. And she's like, wait, no, like I don't know who you are. Like I'm gonna call the cops. I was like, no, that's okay. I'll just leave. So I did. I left out the same window, hopped down to the street, started booking it back to my car. Um, and then the idea popped in my head, hey, I should go apologize for that because that was really weird and creepy. And I'm gonna get back to her house via rooftop, of course. So I climbed up onto the roofs again, but this time I was jumping from rooftop to rooftop, landing. The shingles would crash, fall down. I can't imagine what the people inside were thinking. At like 2:30, 3 a.m., Um, yeah, so I didn't make it back to her house. Thank thank God, because who knows what would have happened. She probably actually would have called the cops then. Um, but as I was going back to her house, I came to a significant gap in the houses. And being in the dream state that I thought I was like, oh, well, fuck it. Doesn't matter. So I went for it, made it to the other side. But when I landed, there was a loud pop. And that kind of sobered me up. I was like, oh shit, like this is real. My ankle's messed up.
Because that pop was your ankle snapping, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I didn't know it at the time, but it was broken. So I lowered myself down from the roof, hobbled my way back, past the private security gate guard who had no business being a security guard. He was, man, some clearly intoxicated man with no shoes on. I didn't have any shoes on, limping past you. Like, you're not going to stop and ask him questions, like whatever. So I made it to my car, woke up in my car about 7 a.m., drove back to base with my left foot because my right foot was broken. I would go about my day for the next 2 days walking on my foot like normal because I didn't think it was broken. And my mom was just like, Taylor, stop being an idiot. Go to the hospital. Turns out it was broken. Had to be in a cast for a while. So long story short, to answer your original question, that was the turning point to what led me to what I do now. Partly there's still another little story in there from Saudi Arabia, but after that, I was like, something needs to change. I can't keep living my life drinking every weekend, playing video games, not being as productive with my time. So that was the catalyst that switched my mindset. I started reading, I started taking online college courses, I started working out even more because so many people give the excuse, oh yeah, I'm injured, I can't work out. It's like, no, you can, you're just choosing not to. I would do banded exercises with my broken leg. I would still do all the upper body stuff. I taught myself how to handstand walk when my ankle was broken because I was like, if I can't walk on my legs, I'm going to learn to walk on my hands, because that's just the mindset that I developed. It's like, I don't use this as an excuse. I
No
never felt
excuse.
sorry for myself.
Right.
Right? I used it to grow. So yeah, that was the big turning point in my life. I gave up drinking for almost 2 years. So yeah, thankfully I broke my ankle. It was not good at the time, but I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, it all kind of allowed everything to kind of come full circle.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and you talked about like once you started getting your life on track and things started going, you got into this CrossFit coaching, and then you had this opportunity that you thought was going to be pretty significant going to Saudi Arabia to coach over there. But quickly you figured out that you maybe made that decision for, again, maybe some of the wrong reasons.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, a couple years passed. I'm now a CrossFit coach full time. I ended up being recruited to be the biggest, or the head coach of the biggest CrossFit gym in Saudi Arabia. I actually turned down a coaching position in the Cayman Islands, which, looking back, I can't believe I did that. They flew me out there to the beautiful Cayman Islands, showed me around the gym. I coached a few classes. The community was great. The gym was great. Beaches were even better. It was amazing. But I turned it down simply because Saudi Arabia, with all the wealth that they have, paid me more money. Yep. So my mindset at the time was, okay, I just served 4 years in the Marine Corps, hating my life for little pay. I can do another 2-year contract for more money. And so that was my mindset. It was solely for the money. So I went there. Things were good for a while. The gym was fantastic. Best gym I've ever seen. It was amazing. But the culture was the complete opposite of how I wanted to live. Just, and I'm speaking generally. Of course, there's some outliers there who are, healthy
Sure.
and
Of course.
but from my experience, the culture was horrible, extremely unhealthy. They don't give two shits about the environment. I saw on multiple occasions people throwing their cigarette butts just on the street. There's trash everywhere. The dumpsters are overfilling. There's stray cats everywhere that are, you see them dead in the streets. Smells like trash. Just not a good place. Not where I want it to be. And again, this is generally, of course, there's some better places with better people. But yeah, so not only did they not care about the environment or their consumption, they didn't care about themselves. So like I mentioned, a lot of people smoke. There's no alcohol there, so that's one thing. You can get it, but it's kind of black
Right.
market type thing.
Right.
A lot of people smoke. They stay up super late, like past midnight to like 3 a.m., drinking coffee. uh, and then so obviously their sleep is messed up, and then they wonder why they're so stressed out at work, and they also eat like shit. And then they come into the gym thinking that this is going to be the cure all. And so this is what really accelerated my frustration, is because they would keep asking me, why am I not getting better? Why am I not getting better? Well, you smoke, you don't sleep, you drink coffee till 3 a.m., you eat like garbage. Of course you're not getting any better. So yeah, it was a combination of not being fulfilled with my lifestyle there, just being surrounded by that culture, because I believe that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I was not spending time with, I mean, the people who I was spending time with, the other coaches, they were fantastic people, but
Sure.
just the culture was not for me. Um, and then there was also some complications with me as head coach. The owners wouldn't really let me run it how I saw fit. We kind of butted heads on a lot of things, and I wasn't going to go against my core values to just have the title of head coach. It's like, okay, if you're going to take it this direction, I don't believe in that. I don't agree with what you're doing. Just I'll stay on as a coach, but I'm out of the decision making. And then that only lasted for so long, because I wanted to make a bigger impact. And
Yeah.
so that's what
It's
led
not
me to create.
sustainable.
Exactly. And that's what led me to create the Captain's Lifestyle program, because I wanted to work for myself. I wanted my work to be directly correlated to my success. Whether my business succeeds or fails, that's all on me. And I love that. That is my security. A lot of people derive security from a 9-to-5 job with benefits and government assistance, whatever. That is not security for me. I could not live that lifestyle. So it was a combination of that and wanting to create a bigger impact. And so that's what led me to develop the Captain's Lifestyle program after doing multiple coaching and business mentorship programs to actually create the thing. So,
Well, and how funny is it that the creating that program that you knew needed to exist, that in turn created the lifestyle that you ultimately needed for your
yeah,
day-to-day happiness. That wasn't about the money. It wasn't until you got to like, all right, this is mine. This is how it's going to be. This is how I know it needs to look. This is how I know that it works. And once you got to that point, that's when all of a sudden everything starts to click. That's when everything makes sense. That's when you get the happiness. That's when everything, all
100%.
falls into place.
I very quickly realized that money means absolutely nothing to me if I can't be happy. That's There's no point. If I can't be happy with the money I'm making, at the time I was making good money for a CrossFit coach, and I was basically banking all of it because I
Yeah, because
wasn't
you're taking
paying.
care of all your expenses and you're out there in
Yeah,
a different country. Yeah.
I wasn't paying for housing. I wasn't paying for travel. The only thing that I was paying for was food. And granted, I do eat a lot, but
Yeah. I mean, that's
not enough
nothing
to
though,
make it
especially over there.
exactly. And I was getting paid well, and most of that was going into savings, so I was making good money. But again, I couldn't give two shits about that because I
It
wasn't
doesn't
fulfilled.
matter. Yeah. It
Exactly.
doesn't matter. The money doesn't mean anything if the other buckets aren't there, or if they're not being filled.
That's one of the things I preach to my clients, and that's another reason why I started to work with charitable company founders, because they kind of understand this. They understand that yes, making money for yourself is fantastic if you have the right mindset, but you also need to make money doing something that you enjoy, something that
Yeah.
helps other people. So yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah. We're all going to make money. It's how you decide to go about that makes all the difference in the world.
And why would you spend the majority of your life doing something that you don't like for money?
Just
Because
for money.
okay, best case scenario, you spend 40 years of your life at a job you don't like, you make all the money, and then what? You're 65, but because you worked so hard and you were so stressed out, your relationships faded away. So you don't have a connection with your kids because you were working as they were growing up. You don't have a connection with your wife because when you came home, she didn't want to be around you because you were so stressed out and angry. And on top of that, you neglected your health. So now you do have all this money, but you can't enjoy it because you're not healthy, and you don't have all the relationships to share it with. So if that's best case scenario, why would you continue going down that path, making money for a job that you're not happy with?
One of my favorite quotes is from Bob Marley. He says, "Some people are so poor, all they have is money."
Oh, wow. I love that. I'm writing that down.
That's a Bob Marley one. Yeah, I think there's a poster about that one out there somewhere too. So yeah, that's one that I always refer back to. Um, well, and that's a perfect way to kind of wrap this interview up a little bit. That was the main reason for wanting you to be on this podcast, is because you literally are, your life is a definition of what we're preaching about, of what I'm trying to share with the world and with my audience. And so to be able to have somebody like you, here's firsthand, straight up account. I mean, at 26, that's what's so crazy. It's like you've had this whole journey, this whole life experience at 26, man. Like I'm 46, and it took me that long to figure a lot of this stuff out. So like you've got another 20 years ahead of you of doing things the right way. It's like, man, to see where you're going to be in 20 years is going to be terribly exciting.
I'm very excited for that. I follow Gary V, love everything he's doing. And he says, no matter where you are, you're still so young. Like you don't realize how many years you have ahead of you. Even if you are 46, 56,
yeah.
66.
Oh, I still got another 20.
Yeah, even if you're 66, if you're 66, you still got another 30 plus years ahead of you if you're living a healthy lifestyle of making the world a better place. So for me, I've got at least 80 years. I'm going to live to be 100 plus. I can tell you that right now. I've got another 80 years to improve and make the world a better place. So I am extremely excited and also grateful that I was able to have this mindset and, break my ankle at 21 and have that be the catalyst to change. Because who knows, if that hadn't happened, I definitely would have continued drinking and going down that path.
You would definitely be in a very different place than you are
100%.
right now, without question. So it's funny how a lot of those moments in time really can shape our lives and shape our destiny to a certain extent. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Taylor, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and again coming on the show for part 2 to getting all this straight. Couple of things I like to wrap up with. Before we talk, we've already kind of talked about where everybody can find your content and everything, but if you had a billboard for all the world to see, what would you put on it? And then last but not least, what's your favorite item under $100 that you could not live without, that you use on an everyday basis?
Sponsored by Tim Ferriss.
Completely stolen.
Yeah, I love those questions.
I usually give the Tim Ferriss disclosure beforehand, but this time I didn't. So thank you for doing that for me.
Yeah, no, I love the Tim Ferriss. I love the Tim Ferriss podcast. I love those questions. I ask them on my podcast. For the billboard, I've given this answer before, and I think I said this on our last recording, and I'm going to steal this from one of Tim Ferriss' guests. I can't remember who it is, but I believe it was on Tim Ferriss' podcast. On the billboard, it would just say, relax. Like, this is probably not going to matter in 5 years. Because I think so many people are so stressed out on things that don't really matter. Like 99% of the things you worry about never happened. And this is what anxiety comes from, either worrying about what could potentially happen in the future, or reminiscing about what negative things happened in the past. That's what anxiety comes from. Anxiety comes from not living in the present moment and being mindful of your current situation. So just relax. This probably won't matter in 5 years.
So true, man. So true.
And to answer your second question, the thing under $100,
I'm trying to remember what you gave me a really good answer last time, but I forgot what it was.
I was just thinking about it, and I think I said books, just because I don't have like a under $100 necessarily.
No, I don't think that was
item that changed, that has impacted my life so much. So I would not, at least nothing that's coming to mind. So I would say books, just because you can literally get a lifetime of knowledge from books under $100. You go to the used bookstore, I pick up,
will do a lot of damage in a used bookstore.
I pick up stacks of books for way less than $100. And I always like to say school is overrated, education is underrated. School, they don't teach you anything you need to know. They teach you how to memorize things to do well on the test, but they don't teach you how to learn. So self-education is the best thing, like learning what you want to learn for the reasons you want to learn it. I like that picture of it's like a bunch of animals around in like animal school, and it's like the dolphin gets an A in swimming, but the cat gets an F in swimming. It's like they're all tested on the same things, but they're going to excel in different things because they're different creatures. Same thing with humans. Like we're different people. There's a whole bunch of things that I could say about the school system, but I would say books. If you're going to invest in anything, it's invest in yourself. And books or podcasts even are free. Podcasts, you can learn anything. All the information is out there for free somewhere. The only reason why I'm making money is because people don't want to spend the time, stress, and energy going to piece it all together themselves like I had to do. You can absolutely get all the information from podcasts, books, courses, whatever. The benefit of it is getting it in that short period of time so you don't have to stress about it, and getting it in the right order, which is important as well.
Yeah. And then like you were saying at the very beginning, the accountability factor that you put in
Oh
place. I
yeah.
mean, that's such a big aspect of it. The information's always out there for everybody. And that's what I've always tried to do as well. Put all the information out there for free. The information should always be free. But the accountability and the day-to-day, that's where we can make our money.
The accountability and the personalization of it. It's like, absolutely.
Well, that's just a perfect answer for this show for that question, because it's just right in our wheelhouse. If you follow any of my social media, you'll see I'm covered up with library posts and book posts, and I always try to post whatever book I'm reading and whatever book I think is the latest and greatest. And there's so many of them out there, and there's so much, like you said, there's everything is just waiting for us to learn it if we just go pick up a book and go dive into it. So Taylor, thanks so much for your time. Tell everybody one last time where they can find you, where they can get your content, or if they want to reach out and try to connect with you. Oh, and last but not least, if there's a charity that you are involved with or associated with that you'd like to plug, this is your opportunity to do that as well.
Yeah, I like that. Not necessarily a specific charity, but I mean, I'm going to be releasing a lot of podcasts with charitable company founders. So everybody who I interview on my show, I support what they're doing. I mentioned the Plant Switch co-founder, the reusable utensil. So if you are a restaurant owner or something like that, definitely switch over to biodegradable sources of to-go silverware. And then one of my former clients is Michael Lother, the founder of Puka, which is a sustainable apparel brand. And it's all made in the USA, all made out of coconuts, I believe is what he's using. So there's there's no like plastic fibers, which is fantastic. Because if you get synthetic materials, every time you wash it, little tiny microscopic pieces of the plastic fibers get released into the ocean, wherever it goes. So yeah, you could have brands that are made out of recycled water bottles. That's okay because I guess you use the water bottles for something, but still it's made out of plastic, and every time you wash it, those fibers get released slowly. So it's good to get it out of organic material, which is what he's doing. All made in the USA. 10% of profits go towards our local Ocean Institute. So we live in Dana Point. That's our local Ocean Conservation Society, and then also the Wounded Warrior Project. So I definitely support that. So yeah, that's Puka USA. So pukausa.com. As for myself personally, I always promote sustainability brands. So you can find a lot of brands that I promote on my Instagram, The Captain's Lifestyle Podcast, The Captain's Lifestyle Podcast, YouTube,
all the regular
website,
sources.
The Captain's Lifestyle. Yeah.
Awesome. And we'll be sure to have links in the show notes to those charities as well, and your the Captain's Lifestyle too.
Perfect.
But, Taylor, thanks so much for your time, and most importantly, man, thank you for being an example of what we preach about on this show. A lot of times I get guests on here that have agendas, that have things that they want to promote and all that, and I'm always happy to accommodate friends and family and things like that with what they're trying to do. But to have somebody that's just about it for the right reasons, and just really, you're the second guest in a row that I've had that's just has really aligned with my vision and where I hope to see this show go. And so to have you as an example that I can readily point to, that, like, I'm the old guy, so I have like these old fashioned things, but you're the young guy that's I'm gonna say the beautiful guy that's out there doing his thing. I can say, look, that's a guy who gets it. There's a guy who has the answers, who has some things figured out. If you want to know how to do things the right way, pay attention to what he's doing. And I'm grateful for you for that. So thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And like I said, I think the future of business is going this direction. So it's only a matter of time. You can either hop on now and get in on it early, or you can hop on it later when, it's basically a requirement for good business.
Play catch up.
Yep. So
Yep.
Start now.
Keep doing what you're doing, man. I sure do appreciate it. We'll look forward to seeing some more guests on the podcast coming soon.
Awesome, Nate. Thanks for having me.